Today's episode of the Unpopular podcast is sponsored by Brax Candles. Life can be stressful. You can have a long day at work, long day with the kids. Your mind just isn't right. I know anytime I get stressed, I love to light candles. And there's no candle better than Brax Candles. You can have any scent that you want. You can have a fruity scent. You can have a woodsy mahogany scent. Brax Candles has it for you. I know, again, whenever I feel stressed, I just like to light candles, maybe put some music on and just unwind. And there's no other or no better candle than Brax Candles. The link will be in the description below. Get your Brax Candles today. It is the best candles and it's black owned, best candles in the world. The link will be in the description. Get yours today. Let's start the show. Welcome. I want to welcome you to yet another episode of the Unpopular podcast. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Jalen Hunter. And last episode, I did a mock draft. And what I did, of course, I didn't factor in any trades because you can't really predict who trades with who. So I didn't really factor in any trades. I just pretty much drafted for a team's need. If a team needed defense, I drafted defense. If they needed an offensive lineman, I drafted offensive lineman. Safe to say, my mock draft did not go exactly how the real draft works. And of course it never does, but we'll talk about it. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to rank every single first round pick, whether I'm going to rank, let me say this, I'm going to give it a grade. I'm going to give every first round pick a grade. Now, before I give out the grades, I just want to congratulate every single person that got drafted. Like I said, the draft should be still going on now. I think they're on like the fourth round. But I want to congratulate every single person that got drafted. Whether I give you an A or I give you an F as far as the pick, you still fulfilled a lifelong dream and did something that I could never do, and that's get drafted to a professional sport. None of these grades are an indictment to the kid or the grown man that got drafted. So congratulations to you, whether you're the first round pick or the last round. You have fulfilled a dream and made it to the NFL. So congratulations to you guys. But like I said, what I was gonna do is I was gonna go and I'm going to give a grade for every first round pick. Now, some first round pick, the first round did not go, and a coach it never does, but it didn't go exactly how we thought it would or how I thought it should go, and we'll talk about it. So let's talk about the first one. First overall pick, just Trevor Lawrence to the Jacksonville Jaguars. We knew that was coming. Trevor Lawrence was the best player in the draft. People are pretty much calling him a prodigy. Everyone pretty much knew he was going number one. In fact, anytime you looked at any sports shows, any podcasts like myself, the first probably two picks were pretty much never in doubt. It was usually Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson. So with that, I'll give the Jacksonville Jaguars for drafting Trevor Lawrence. I'll give him an A. Like I said, you get pretty much the best player in the draft, and it's a no-brainer. This is one of them drafts where it's a no-brainer. It's not like you trading up to get Mr. Trubisky, but this is a no-brainer. So I give Trevor Lawrence to the Jacksonville Jaguars, the first overall pick. I'll give that an A. The Jets, kind of the same thing. I may not be as high on Zach Wilson as everyone else is. I may think that there are other quarterbacks that are better than him, but we pretty much knew he was going to the Jets. Now, again, with that being said, I don't think that he was or is the best quarterback to go to the number 2 spot. But again, he's accurate. He's a mobile quarterback. I think he completed 33 touchdowns at BYU last year. I'll give it a B plus, and I'll give it a B plus because while we knew he was going to get drafted to the Jets pretty much, and they got a mobile quarterback, I do think there were quarterbacks better than Zach Wilson, but The Jets, at least at the second overall pick, addressed the need. Giving up Sam Darnold or trading away Sam Darnold, I'm sorry, to get, they needed a quarterback and they got one in Zach Wilson. So I'll give it a B plus. I'll give it a B plus. And now we have the big one, San Francisco. Before the draft, all we were hearing was Mac Jones, Mac Jones, Mac Jones, Mac Jones, Mac Jones. And then I think probably a day or two before the draft, we started hearing, all right, maybe they'll get Trey Lance. And it was pretty much Mac Jones or Trey Lance. Now, they went ahead and drafted Trey Lance, which to me was a smarter decision, because I think Trey Lance is better than Mac Jones. And not only do I think he's better now, I think his ceiling is better. He's a bigger athlete. He's a mobile quarterback in a league that's turning into a more mobile quarterback league. When you look at some of the top quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers to a certain extent, Josh Allen, the league is getting more mobile. And while, yes, I understand that Tom Brady's not mobile, that's Tom Brady. You can't do that. So I think that them drafting Trey Lance over Mac Jones was a smart decision. I'll give it an A. Do I think that, I'm going to say this. I'll give it an A minus. And I'll give it an A minus because if they did draft a mobile quarterback, which I do like. They did draft Trey Lance, which I like. But if they were going to do that, I am one of the people that believe that they should have probably, if they were going to draft a mobile quarterback, I would have gone with Justin Fields. But I'm not mad at the fact that they went with Trey Lance. I do think, like I said, and I know he didn't play as many games. Of course, he played one game last year due to COVID and stuff. But I know he wasn't as, he didn't win national championship at Alabama. And first and foremost, before I keep going, shouts out to Alabama. That is a big winner tonight. Alabama, I think they set a school record for most draft picks in the first round. And you still have Barmore that's going to get drafted. You still have an offensive lineman that's going to get drafted. You still probably have a couple defensive players that's going to get drafted. Alabama killed it, bro. But back to what I was saying. I like the fact that San Francisco drafted Trey Lance. I'm not saying he's going to be on the same level, but it kind of reminds me of a Colin Kaepernick, but just more accurate. So I'll give them an A minus drafting Trey Lance. And I only give them an A minus because I feel if you were going to go with a mobile quarterback, I would have went with Justin Fields. But shouts out to Trey Lance for getting drafted to the 49ers. Then you have Atlanta. Atlanta picked, for the fourth overall pick, they picked Kyle Pitts. This pick is solely pick the best player. I say that because if you looked at my mock draft, I said Atlanta should pick for need. If they're going to keep Matt Ryan, I know there was talk saying that Julio Jones might get traded. If Julio Jones gets traded, this is a great pick. If he doesn't get traded, this just doesn't. I understand that we're pretty much in a league today that wants to have the greatest, most explosive offense, and a lot of that is predicated, or a lot of that is because of what we're seeing out of Kansas City. But they drafted the best player that was available, which was Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is a freak athlete. He's a tight end that pretty much has wide receiver skills. Like I said, he reminds me of a Darren Waller as far as you have a big body tight end, but is quick enough and has the hands of a wide receiver. Yeah, he has. Kyle Pitts is not really good at blocking, but I don't think you're going to use him for blocking. But again, I think you got the best player. So I'll give Atlanta an A, but I'll give them an A minus, and I give them an A minus because I don't think they need it. Again, you have Julio Jones. You have Calvin Ridley. I just don't think you need a Kyle Pitts, especially when your defense was as bad as it was. You still had Michael Parsons. You still had Jace Horn. You still had Patrick Surtain that you could have picked with that pick. And they definitely would have. Now, again, I understand they're not going to completely fix the defense, but it definitely you would have addressed your weakest point of the team, which is your defense. So I'm only going to give it an A minus because, yes, you get the best player. Kyle Pitts is an incredible player out of Florida, but I do think at that position you could have went, and that's where the minus comes in. You could have went for a defensive player And that to me would have helped you more than what Kyle Pitts will give you. Seeing as though the talent that you do already have at the offensive position. Not to mention you have Todd Gurley. I know he's a free agent, but you can re-sign Todd Gurley. So I'll give it an A minus. Moving forward, Cincinnati Bengals. Now. Here's the thing. I'm not gonna look at Cincinnati. Look, let me just dissect the pick. The pick, they get Jamar Chase, the best wide receiver in the draft, in my opinion. You pretty much pair him back up with Joe Burrow. Those two was a really big reason why LSU had that historical season. 2 years ago? I understand that, but at the 5th overall pick, and again, I said this in the mock draft. If Joe Burrow never would have got hurt, I would not have look, let me say this. You have T. Higgins, you have Boyd, you have Thompson, you have Joe Mixon. You don't need Jamar Chase. Now, again, I understand he's the best wide receiver in the draft, but your quarterback just got hurt because the offensive line was horrible. And you didn't address the offensive line. I understand that you can address the offensive line in the next round, but you have Penei Sewell or Rashawn Slater. They're both sitting right there. And don't get me wrong. Again, I keep saying it. I understand Jamar Chase is a great talent. All these players are great talents, but you don't need Jamar Chase. So while you do reunite him with Joe Burrow and you do lock up the best wide receiver, Joe Burrow is injured right now recovering from injury because the offensive line was so bad and he was running for his life all the time and it finally caught up to him. And you have the two best offensive linemen that are still sitting there in Penei Sewell and Slater, and you don't get neither of them. So because of that, I'm going to give it a D. I'm going to give it a D because, yes, you get, the best wide receiver in the draft, but I'm giving it more of a D because you don't need him. Like I said, you have Boyd, you have Higgins, you have Mixon, you have Thomas. You needed an offensive lineman, and you have Penei Sewell, who a lot of people are saying is good enough to be a Hall of Famer one day, and you don't get him. Hell, even if he was gone, you could have get Slater. You could have get Vera Tucker. There was a lot you could have got, and you got a wide receiver, the position that you don't need. So I'll give it a D. I'm only really giving it a D because of how good Jamar Chase is. Honestly, I'm leaning more towards F, but I'm going to give it a D just because I understand and I know how good Jamar Chase is. But the Cincinnati Bengals were in desperate need of a lineman, and they had the two best linemen still available, and they didn't go for him. So that's why I'm going to give it a D minus. Honestly, I'm giving it a D. Miami, they drafted Jalen Waddle. That's to me was the second best wide receiver in the draft. And I mean, I like it. I like it because now people are going to talk about people are going to say they should have, as in Miami, should have drafted a quarterback at this position if they're not like sold on Tua. But I remember in my mock draft, I said you want to give Tua a break, man. You want to make sure you want to see if you want to give him longer than one season, especially a season that came off of no off season, no preseason due to COVID. You want to make sure I would have chilled out. I would have gave him some time, man. So I want to see what he does this year, and you give him a weapon on the offensive. I mean, you give him arguably the second best wide receiver in the draft in Jalen Waddle. I like it. I do think that they could have addressed maybe the defense a little bit, maybe get a linebacker or a pass rusher. But I do like the fact that you're pretty much saying that you're giving Tua as many pieces as he can for him to succeed. Because you still have Parker, You have a decent running game. So I'll give it a B. I'll give it a B because, like I said, Jalen Waddle I do think that they could have probably went defense, but I do like that they shirt up. They got a top wide receiver. I do want to make sure he stays healthy. We don't know was the ankle injury even and it was pretty bad, but I do hope he stays healthy. And if he does stay healthy, Jalen Waddle is an incredible athlete. So I give them a B. Detroit picking Penei Sewell. This is a home run for me. It's a home run, and this is kind of like what I was talking about when I said the Cincinnati Bengals. You get, in my opinion, the best offensive lineman in the draft. A lot of people are saying that his upside is Hall of Fame. Like, that's how good he can be. He's a big dude that's fast, and I'm happy for this pick. So and not to mention, you just get Jared Goff after the trade with Matthew Stafford. So you want to shore up. Now, yeah, I do think in the upcoming rounds, you want to address maybe the wide receiver position, definitely defense. You pretty much need to build your team. But I do like the fact that you give him, as far as Jared Goff, the perfect offensive lineman to protect his blind side, which is Penei Sewell. So I give this an A. Penei Sewell is an incredible player, and they drafted what they needed as far as the Detroit Lions drafted offense, because they just got a new piece in Jared Goff, and you want to protect him. So I like it. Carolina Panthers getting J.C. Horn. I'll say this, man. I love J.C. Horn. J.C. Horn is a lockdown corner. J.C. Horn is an aggressive corner. Sometimes he's a little over aggressive, but I do like J.C. Horn. Here's the thing, though. People can argue with it, and that's cool. But if you were gonna go cornerback one, I would have went with Patrick Surtain. I think that Patrick Surtain is a better corner than J.C. Horn, but I do think it's like A and like 1 and 2. So I think you did get the second best. I think you got the second best cornerback. But I mean, another reason why I don't understand this is, here's the thing, man. And it kind of goes back, and I hate to pick on them again, but it kind of goes back to Cincinnati. The Carolina Panthers trade to get Sam Darnold. Now, one thing that plagued Sam Darnold and the Jets was their offensive line. Sam Darnold needs protection. That's what he needs. And while Carolina Panthers don't have a bad offensive line, they don't have a good offensive line. And so Penei Sewell is off the board. To me, you go with Rashawn Slater. He's the second best tackle, and you pretty much shore up the protection that Sam Darnold needs. You don't need wide receiver. You definitely don't need running back. Yes, I do think you needed a cornerback, but I think you need an offensive lineman more. And yes, you did go cornerback, but I don't even think you got the. Now, again, people can argue if J.C. Horn is better than Patrick Surtain, or Patrick Surtain is better than J.C. Horn. That's an argument that you can have. But I believe that Patrick Surtain is better than J.C. Horn. So not only do you not address the biggest need that you have, which is an offensive lineman for your new piece, that is Sam Darnold, but you go with cornerback, which you did need help at the cornerback position, but you don't even get the best cornerback. I'm sorry. And on top of that, we were hearing that they might be on it kind of feels like Carolina doesn't really know what they're doing. I'm not going to accuse them of not knowing, but we also heard that they might be in talks to get a quarterback. Now, at this position, you still had Justin Fields, you still had Mac Jones, and you don't get a quarterback, which I don't think you should have, seeing as though you just traded for Sam Darnold. But then you exercise his fifth-year option, meaning that you're pretty much guaranteed, like you're pretty much married to him. So you're married to him. You don't get the protection that he needs in the offensive line, and you get the second best, in my opinion, cornerback in J.C. Horn when you could have got Patrick Surtain. So I'm just gonna give this probably a C minus. only because, like I said, I feel you should have addressed it. I feel you should have addressed the offensive line, seeing as though you're getting a quarterback who his previous team never really shored up the offensive line for him, which is why he arguably was as bad as he was. So congrats to J.C. Horn, and also I just think that if you were going to go cornerback, which you did, I would have went with Patrick Surtain, who to me and to a lot of other people is the best cornerback in the draft. So I'll give it a C. I do like J.C. Horn though. He's an aggressive, hard hitting, lockdown cornerback, and I do think he's going to be good for Carolina. So, and that's really why I give it a C. The Broncos at 9 getting Patrick Surtain. I don't know. Well, let me first say, but earlier in the day, they traded to get Teddy Bridgewater. So I think that could have been a hesitation of why they didn't go for what's his name? Why they didn't go for a quarterback. But I do think that if you have a Justin Fields, you have, and you've been pretty much saying that you're not sure about Drew Lock. While yes, I understand you just get Teddy Bridgewater, but we've seen Teddy Bridgewater's ceiling. We saw how good he could be with flashes at the Saints, with the Vikings, and now with the who did he just come from? Teddy Bridgewater. Who did he just come from? I totally forgot where Teddy Bridgewater just came from. But Carolina. Just talked about Carolina. So I think you could have got a corner. I think you could have got a quarterback here. And like I said, Justin Fields was still there. Mac Jones was still there. But you do get Patrick Surtain, who I think is the best cornerback in the draft. And you sure up now. Denver's defense last year was horrible. Now, a lot of that was due to injury. Some of that was due to opt-out. Some of that was due to, players just weren't being good. So I do think that Patrick Surtain is going to help a defense that should get Von Miller back and should get a lot of pieces back that they didn't have last year. So because of that, I'll give this a B. The only reason why I give it a B because you've been saying that you want a quarterback and you're not 100% sold on Drew Lock. So, and I know, again, I understand that you trade for Teddy Bridgewater, but I think that at least at this point, Justin Fields could be better than Teddy Bridgewater. You just don't get him. Now, you do get the best cornerback in the draft, in my opinion. So because of that, I'll give Denver getting Patrick Surtain at 9. I'll give it a B. I'll give it a B. The Philadelphia Eagles, first and foremost, Philadelphia Eagles at 10. First and foremost, I don't remember ever seeing an in division trade. Like I don't understand why Dallas would help Philly, and they're in the same division. I don't get that, and I also don't get. So Philly drafted Devontae Smith, who a lot of people can argue is the best wide receiver, seeing as though all the accolades that he accumulated last year in Alabama, winning the Heisman, Player of the Year, national championship, player of the game in the national championship. He has accolades for days last year. And one thing I don't understand is Philadelphia traded up. Like you traded, I think they were 12th. You traded from 12th to 10th to get Devontae Smith, where I believe he would have been there at 12. Not to mention the fact that you trade, I think, a third-round pick as well, which could be very important. I mean, third round is still a prime round where you can get quality players. So I don't understand why you trade you trade up to with Dallas, by the way, when the player that you got would be there. Now, I don't understand that, but it is what it is. Let's just talk about the pick. You get Devontae Smith. Now, all you've been hearing is Devontae Smith, his stature, his height, his weight is not one of a NFL wide receiver. Look, he was like that in college. I even said this in my mock draft. He was like that in college. He's gonna be what he's gonna be. If he's available, I said that the Eagles should get a wide receiver for Jalen Hurts, and you pair him up with a player that he played with in Alabama, and Devontae Smith. I think it was. I'll give it a B. The only reason why I give it a B is because I don't think you needed to trade up. I don't think Dallas was going to get a wide receiver, and I don't think that the Bears, who also traded to the Giants, I don't think that they were going to get a wide receiver. So I don't understand. Even though we'll talk about the Giants in a second, but I don't think you needed to trade, trade up and trade a third round pick for him. But I do like the fact that you get arguably the best, or let me say, the most accomplished wide receiver in the draft, and you pair him up and pretty much give Jalen Hurts a number one weapon. So I'll give it a B. Number 11, the Bears traded up with the Giants and they picked Justin Fields. To me, this is an A plus. This was arguably one of the best moves of the day. I like the fact that all offseason we were hearing that the Bears were trying to get Deshaun Watson. We were hearing they were trying to get Russell Wilson, and it just didn't pan out. And it was just like, damn, like if they settled with Andy Dalton, who is a country miles away from the two that I just named. And I to me, you got arguably the second best quarterback in the draft in Justin Fields. And the fact that you only have to trade, I mean, you did trade up with the Giants, but you had to only give up fourth round picks or something like that, to get arguably the second best quarterback, and you still have Tyreek Cohen, you still have Allen Robinson, you still have Cordell Patterson, you still have a lot of good pieces, David Montgomery. I think that Justin Fields, I don't think he's ready now, but with off season, with preseason, if they have one, I think that he will be the heir apparent, or he will be the starting quarterback by the end of the season for the Bears, seeing as though I think that even though he might not be ready, he's still better than Andy Dalton. So I think this is an A plus. I think that this was one of the best moves of the day or of the night, the Chicago Bears drafting Justin Fields and not having to move up too far and getting the quarterback in a position that they desperately needed. So I like this move. I like the Bears getting Justin Fields, and I think that while Justin Fields is used to, he's Ohio, and we know the weather, and as far as where he played, Ohio State, we know the weather up in Michigan can be, or Detroit, it could be tough. So I think that he can work with the elements. He does have a big arm, and he is mobile. So I just love this pick. I'll give this pick an A plus. Justin Fields to the Bears. I think this was one of the best moves of the draft. So Dallas at 12 getting Patrick Surtain. Getting Minka Parsons. I think that this is an A. I'll give it an A because we all know Dallas, their defense was god awful last year. I think that I didn't think Minka Parsons was going to be here for them, but the fact that I do think that he is the best overall defensive player in the draft, and them able to get him at 12th, I think is an A. I think a lot of people are talking about his off the field issues and the fact that he didn't play last year due to the opting out, but he's a bigger Devin White that plays for the Bucks and was a very integral piece for them winning the championship or the Super Bowl. So I don't know. I'm not saying that he will be better than Devin White, but he is a bigger, faster, stronger player than Devin White. And we know how bad Dallas needed a defensive player, seeing as though they gave up the most points in franchise history last year. So I give this an A. I give it an A. They needed defense. To me, they got the best defensive player in the game and in the draft. So Minka Parsons to Dallas Cowboys, I give it an A. 13, Chargers getting Rashawn Slater. This to me is an A as well. You have Justin Herbert, who just won Offensive Rookie of the Year, and one thing that we did see last year, even though he was putting up and breaking all those records, is he was still running for his life. And you want to shore up the offensive line and bring him protection to this left side, and you get to me the second best offensive lineman in the draft in Rashawn Slater. So to me, this is an A. They addressed a need, and a need that to me will I mean, you still have Mike Williams, you still have a lot of great pieces. I do, and I think that later in the draft, you can probably go for a tight end if you need one, seeing as though they did lose Hunter Henry, and maybe address some of the defense. But your biggest need was getting an offensive tackle, and you got one in Rashawn Slater. So I give it an A. I think that it was a very smart move for them. 14, the Jets getting Elijah Vera Tucker. To me, this is also an A. Let me say this. I'll give it an A. I'll give it an A minus. I'll give it an A minus because you did just get Zach Wilson, and they have a lot of problems as far as the Jets. You needed an offensive lineman. You need a running back. You don't really need too many wide receivers. You have a couple of them, but you do need to address some wide receiver help. You need a lot of things. They're kind of like Detroit. And while Elijah Vera Tucker is good, I think they need an offensive lineman, which is why I'll give it an A. But I also think that they really need a running back. And you still had Najee Harris, you still had Travis Etienne there. I think that you want to shore up your two worst positions. And right now, your two worst positions was running back and quarterback. You got the quarterback in Zach Wilson. I think you should have addressed the running back, especially getting a Najee Harris or a Travis Etienne. That would have definitely locked up the passing game and the running game. And then, because I told you, I said in the Mac draft, this is a big draft for offensive linemen. Now, while I don't think, next round or something, I don't think that you'd get a player as good as Elijah Vera Tucker. I do think that you would have been able to get a really good, probably a couple good offensive linemen. But I do say A because you got a guard and you needed a guard. I just think that you could have probably addressed the running back position at this spot. But I do like the fact that you got a guard to protect Zach Wilson. So I'll give it an A. New England at 15 getting Mac Jones. To me, this is an A. They wanted Mac Jones. He looks like he looks like a quarterback that would play for New England. Mac Jones just has that body type. He has an arm. He comes from Nick Saban, the best coach in college football, to Bill Belichick, arguably the best coach in NFL. It's just and the fact that they didn't have to trade up or down to get him, that's pretty much a match made in heaven. Now, for people that's saying that he's going to start day one, no, bro. I don't care. Look, they still have Cam Newton, bro, and I think Cam Newton is still better than Mac Jones, like leaps and bounds better than Mac Jones. That's Cam Newton. But I do like the fact that they have Mac Jones, and moving forward, a lot of people are saying this could be Cam Newton's last year in New England. I don't know, but they got the quarterback that they wanted. We knew they were going to get a quarterback, and it was either really between Justin Fields and Mac Jones. And the only reason why it was between those two, because we thought that Mac Jones was going to go to 49ers at third. The fact that he didn't, and Mac Jones fell in their lap, and they didn't even have to trade up. This is an A. This is an A plus, honestly, because this is what they wanted. This is who they wanted. They feel they got one of the best quarterbacks in the draft. I will say that he's probably the most accurate, the most of course he has the most pocket presence because he's a pocket passer. And of course he won the national championship last year. So I'll give Mac Jones going to New England at 15. I'll give it an A. Arizona getting Zaylen Collins from Tulsa. I do think they needed a linebacker. I would have addressed probably the cornerback, maybe more, seeing as though, or safety, seeing as though no, not safety. I would address cornerback, seeing as though they just lost Patrick Patterson, but I think that there was better even if you did want to address the linebacker position, which you did, I do think that there were better linebackers than Zaylen Collins at 16. But I do like the fact that they did get Zaylen Collins. He's a good linebacker. I just think that you probably should have addressed the cornerback position maybe. Um, and because of that, I'll give it a C. I'll give it a C because Zaylen Collins is a good. He's kind of like a freak. He's kind of like a freak athlete, especially when we talk about athleticism. It's just I think that there were better, more NFL ready linebackers if you were going to go that direction, which you did. But I think you should have addressed the cornerback position, seeing as though you just lost Patrick Peterson. So, um, I'll give I'll give it a C. I'll give it a C. The Raiders, the Raiders at 17 getting Alex Leatherwood. Uh, you know, there are some people in life. You can be skilled at a lot of things. I like to believe that I'm skilled at this podcasting thing. I think I'm pretty good at it. I like to think. Um, I think that I'm a solid podcaster. You know, but with me being a good podcaster, I don't think that I'm not sure if I'm a good radio person. I'm not sure if I'm a good radio host because I've never done it. I'm saying that to say there's some people that's good in some areas that aren't good in others. Oh, prime example. I'm good. I'm a videographer. I'm really good at shooting video. I'm not good at taking pictures. Like I'm not a good photographer. I say that to say there are some people I just don't understand what the Raiders are doing, man. It's like okay, so and I talked about this in the mock draft. I did say you need to address the offensive tackle, offensive line, seeing as though you went heavy on you got Kenyon Drake after having Josh Jacobs. Um, you have Derek Carr. You did lose Nelson Aguilar, so you could have went wide receiver, but you didn't. Um, and they still had you. You have Darren Waller. I said you needed to go offensive line. What I didn't expect is for them to pick Alex Leatherwood. Now, Alex Leatherwood out of Alabama is a really good player. But Alex Leatherwood would have been there in the second or third round. And the fact that you pick him 17th, and this is after picking homeboy from Clemson last year, who would have been there the second or third round. They just whoever is picking for the Vegas Raiders just maybe need to relieve themselves of that job. Because I don't know if that's their evaluation skills just isn't there. I don't know if they're not really evaluating or scouting at all. But you pick a player that you could have got in the third round. If you wanted to go, if you wanted to go offensive line, man, there were better picks. You could have got Christian Dursaw. Who also played for what? No, he played for Virginia Tech. You could have got him. There was so many people that you could have got better than Alex Leatherwood. So because of that, I'm going straight F. Because it's just you addressed a need, yes, but you didn't even get the best player available at that need. In fact, you didn't even get a top 5. Like he would have been there third round. I don't get it, bro. I don't understand. I give it an F. Congratulations to you, Alex Leatherwood, for getting drafted. But this pick is an F, bro. You would have got drafted anyways. I just think you probably should have got drafted in the third round. And even if the Vegas wanted to spin the block and get them in the third round, he would have been there. Meaning you would have 2 players that are still better than him, and you still would have got him. So I don't understand and I even said that in the mock draft, bro. I don't understand what the Las Vegas Raiders are doing. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Let's move on. Miami Dolphins again at 16, getting Jalen Phillips. Like I said, they addressed offense with Jalen Waddle, and then they have addressed the defense, edge rush, because even though they were, I think, the highest scoring defense last year due to interceptions and fumbles and stuff, they were really bad at getting to the quarterback, and they were really bad at the edge rush. So the fact that they got Jalen Phillips out of Miami, while I do think that if they would have went with edge rush, I do think they probably should have went Kwity Payne from Michigan. I do like the fact that they got Jalen Phillips. He's a good player out of Florida. I'm out of Miami, so I think I would probably give it a B, because it's a good player. It's a position that they needed. They drafted a really good player. It's just I do think that Kwity Payne was still there, and he's a little better in my opinion at the same position. So I would have done that, but Miami at 18 drafting Jalen Phillips, I'll give it a B. Who, the Washington football team. Now, for people that's going to hear this and saw what I tweeted, I was confused why the Washington football team drafted Jamin Davis out of Kentucky, a linebacker. I was confused because I feel that they needed to address the wide receiver position or the offensive line. Two of our worst positions last year outside of Terry McLaurin. Now, I do understand that we do need linebacker help. Our defensive line is incredible. Payne, Chase Young, Montez Sweat, like our offensive line is great. Our linebacker position is not great. So it did take me some time to sleep on it. And I'm not mad at the pick. Jamin Davis is really good, and he's really I think the reason why they picked him is because of his athleticism. I mean, he runs, I think, a 4.3. He is quick and he is fast. And you piece fast and quick to that defensive line or behind that defensive line, you can generate a lot of sacks, or you can also play in coverage. So I'll give it a B. I'll give it a B because while we did need linebacker help, I feel we needed offensive line help more. I think we needed wide receiver more. I mean, Elijah Wood was still there. Terrence Marshall was still there. But we did get a linebacker in Jamin Davis, and Jamin Davis to me is probably the most athletic linebacker that was still available. So I'll give it a B. No, I'll give it a C. Because honestly, I like the fact that he's fast, but I don't even think he's a first year starter. He's like a prospect that you have to mold, and he's not fine tuned. So I don't even know if he'll start year one or first game, but he is a piece, and of course I need to see what we do in the upcoming rounds. So I'll give it a C. New York Giants going to Kadarius Toney, the wide receiver out of Florida. I don't get this position. I don't get it. I'll give it a C. I'll give it a C because I don't understand it. I don't understand it because you have you just got Kenny Galloway, you have Sterling Shepard, you have Darius Slayton, you have Saquon Barkley. You don't really need another wide receiver, in my opinion. I think you probably wanted to address the defense a little more. Now I give it a C because Kadarius Toney is a really good player. He has really good hands, and he's instant offense. But you already have pieces you already have wide receivers, like good wide receivers. So you probably won the lottery with the best wide receiver in the free agency in Kenny Galloway. So I don't really understand why you went with running wide receiver at this position, especially when you could have addressed the defensive line. You could have addressed maybe the cornerback position. I don't know. So I'll give it a C. I'm only giving it a C because how good Kadarius Toney is. So I'll give that a C. Indianapolis Colts Going with Quiddy Payne, the edge out of Michigan. I'll give this an A because they definitely needed it. I do think that they will, because it's such a offensive line heavy draft as far as talent. I think that they'll probably address that in the later rounds. But I do like Quiddy Payne going to. They definitely need to help at the linebacker position, and pretty much play him alongside the defense that has um, DeForest Buckner. So I like it. I do like this pick, and I think that he was arguably one of the best edge rushers in the game. I mean, in the draft. So Quiddy Payne going to Indianapolis at 21. I think that's an A. I'll give it an A. Tennessee going with Caleb Farley, cornerback. I'll give this a B because they most definitely needed a cornerback. Now, I would have probably addressed the wide receiver position, maybe, seeing as though they lost their number one wide receiver in free agency. But I do like Caleb Farley. I will say this: their passing defense was god awful last year. So them getting Caleb Farley, I like it. I'll give it a B. I think Caleb Farley is a really good cornerback out of Virginia Tech, and I think that he addresses the issues that they need. So I'll give it a B as far as Tennessee getting Caleb Farley. Minnesota getting Christian Darrisaw. We talked about this. I talked about this in the mock draft. They needed an offensive lineman, seeing as though their offensive line was god awful last year, and them getting Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech will definitely help that passing game. I mean, we know Kirk Cousins has a limit, and we've seen him at his best, I believe. But I also understand that you need to protect him because he's not really the most mobile, and if you give him time in the pocket, he'll be good. So I think Christian Darrisaw going to Minnesota Vikings, I'll give that an A. And Christian Darrisaw is a big dude, bro. Like, he's a big dude and a strong dude. So him playing tackle definitely helps. So congratulations to Christian Darrisaw. And I think this was an A move from Minnesota. Pittsburgh Steelers getting Najee Harris. To me, I think this is an A plus. I think it's an A plus because you needed help at the running back position. You needed and to me, Najee Harris is the best running back in the draft. Now, I will say this: while you did get the best running back, and I'll give it an A plus. You know what? Let me not give it. I'll give it an A. The only reason why I won't give it an A plus is because I do think that you needed to address the offensive line as well. But like I said, you can address the offensive line in future next rounds. But I do think that you got the best running back, and you needed a running back. Seeing as though you lost James Connors, the running back position was god awful. Now it was awful because injuries to the running backs, and maybe Snell wasn't the best, but their offensive line was horrible as well. So, I think that I'm giving it an A because you needed to address the running back position, and you got Najee Harris, who was the best running back in the draft in a lot of people's opinion. I do think the only reason why I'm not giving it A plus because I think I would have also been happy if you would address the offensive line because the offensive line was horrible. So, I'll give it an A. Jacksonville Jaguars getting Travis Etienne. I think that I like the pick. They needed a running back. But what I pair him up with DJ Chalk and some of those speedsters. What I don't like is they needed to address the defense, and they also needed to address the offensive line. And while you do pair him back up with Trevor Lawrence, he doesn't have protection. And of course, we're going to see what they do in the upcoming rounds, but I think that you could have got an offensive lineman right here. And I honestly think you could have got an offensive lineman here, and where you're drafting in the second round, Travis Etienne probably would have been there. So it kind of confuses me. I'll give it a B because I do like Travis Etienne. I do like that, you pair him back up with Trevor Lawrence, and I mean, he's the ACC all-time leading rusher. I do like that. I just don't. I just feel you could have got him in the later rounds, and I also feel that you needed to address the offensive line more. You need to address the defense more. So I'll give it a B. I'll give it a B. Cleveland getting Greg Newsome the second uh, from Northwestern. I mean, I like it. I like it. I do think that if they were going to do it, you could have got maybe Asante Samuel Jr. But Greg Newsome is pretty good. I just don't like the fact that, I mean, he's a pro. He's. They didn't really need a cornerback, even though they kind of did. I mean, I know that doesn't sound like they. I'll give this move a B. I'll give it a B because I like Greg Newsome the second. The only reason why I'm giving it a B is because they could have went Asante Samuel Jr., who I think would have been better here. But there's that. Baltimore Ravens at 27 getting Rashad Bateman. I think that this is an A. We all know they need a wide receiver. I know they got Sammy Watkins, they have Hollywood Brown, but they needed another wide receiver, a big body wide receiver, and that's what you're getting. 6'2", 210. He's quick. I like Rashad Bateman. A lot of people. I was thinking maybe Rondé Moore, but after looking at the mock draft, I was like, wait, he's kind of small too. He's kind of like another Hollywood Brown. So I'm glad they went with Rashad Bateman. You could have went Elijah Moore. You could have went Trevor. You could have went. No, I would have went with Rashad Bateman. So I like it. I'll give it a B. The only reason why I give it a B is because no. I'm sorry. I'm giving this an A. They needed a wide receiver. They got the best wide receiver available, in my opinion. Of course, you can argue with Elijah Moore, but I would have went with Rashad Bateman. I'll give this one an A. The Saints getting Peyton Turner as I like it. I mean, I do think that they probably should have addressed the cornerback position. I would have addressed the cornerback position, but getting Turner Payne, I just don't like. I mean, his draft day wasn't good. I mean, no, not draft day. His pro day was all right, but the Senior Bowl he wasn't that good. I just and not to mention you already have Cameron Jordan, you already have Marcus Davenport, so I just think that you should have went cornerback. So I'll probably give this a C. I like it, but it's just I feel you could have went. You could have. There was more. There was positions that should have been addressed a little more. So we'll talk about this one in depth a little bit more. But number 29, Green Bay getting Eric Stokes from Georgia, the cornerback from Georgia. This and this is no offense to you, Eric Stokes, but this is probably the absolute worst draft pick in the entire draft, outside of maybe the Raiders. But we'll talk about it in a second. But I give this an F. Green Bay, 29. Eric Stokes, I give it an F. 30, the Buffalo Bills getting Gregory Razua. I know I said your name wrong, bro. I apologize. Out of Miami. I'll give it a B because they definitely needed an edge rush. While they made it all the way to the AFC Championship, they were not good at getting to the quarterback. They were not good on defense pretty much at all, outside of maybe Ed Oliver, and Thurman. But yeah, no. I think that they definitely needed an edge rush, and getting Gregory was good out of Miami. So I'll give it a B. Baltimore Ravens, again at 31, getting Jason Owen out of Penn State. I'll probably give this one a B. I do think they needed an edge rush after losing Matthew Jordan. Um, but I do think that they probably could have got a better edge rusher, at that position at 31. But they did address their two needs, and I think that they're gonna do more, of course, in later rounds. But they definitely addressed their top two needs, which is wide receiver and edge rush. So I like it, man. I do think, again, I'll probably give it a B because they address what they need to address. I'm only giving it a B as well because I believe they could have gotten more for that pick. Or let me say more. They could have gotten a better player for that pick. So, and Tampa Bay getting, who they get? Give me a second. Tampa Bay getting Joe Tryon, the edge rusher out of Washington. I mean, I give this one a C. I'll give it a C because I don't think they needed. And this is what I said in the mock draft. They weren't really drafting for anything. They didn't really have many needs. They don't have any needs, honestly. I thought they were probably going to go quarterback, maybe Kellen Moore, but they didn't need anything. So getting him, I think, is pretty good. So, but he's not going to play. I don't believe so. At least this year. So I don't know what's gonna happen, but that's been my grades, man. That have been my grades. And let's move forward. And I said I was gonna talk about Green Bay. I said I was gonna talk about Green Bay and their draft pick, Eric Stokes, and why I gave it an F. Because that same day, before the draft, Aaron Rodgers comes out and reports come out from Adam Schefter saying that Aaron Rodgers wants out of Green Bay. He doesn't like what Green Bay is in the draft, and he doesn't like the fact that Green Bay, I think he asked for more money as like, put your faith in me, or I want some security, and I guess they scoffed at it or bucked at it. And he pretty much said he doesn't want to return. Here's the thing, man. I understand that the NFL is about the shield. But you have to be realistic about who you are as an organization. If it wasn't for Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay, who calls himself the city of champions, wouldn't be. They had long history. Like, they've had long droughts before. Now, of course, they did win before Brett Favre, but let me not even just go back in the past. Let's just talk about Aaron Rodgers' tenure. A lot of people think that Aaron Rodgers, as far as talent, is arguably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, quarterback as far as talent and arm and thrower of the football. Greatest quarterback to ever play. And we've already established that in the NFL is different from the NBA. It's different from the NBA in the sense that one player can really win you a championship. Let me say this: one player can change your. Let me not say win a championship. One player can change your fortunes. A LeBron James can take you from the bottom to NBA Finals, i.e., Cleveland. Steph Curry can take you from worst offense in league history to a top 15 offense. It doesn't work in the NFL because you need help. As great as Tom Brady is, Tom Brady wouldn't be anything without his wide receivers, without the coaching staff that he's had in New England and now in Tampa Bay. Drew Brees wouldn't be as good if he didn't have wide receivers like Michael or Colston, like Michael Thomas, running backs like Alvin Kamara. These players need help. Peyton Manning, Reggie Wayne. When you look at when we look at the history and present of Green Bay has like a philosophy, as far as they're going to be really conservative when it comes to trades, when it comes to draft picks, and that's not going to work in today's game. Especially, yes, I understand you have Devontae Adams, but when you have opportunities to get wide receivers like an Antonio Brown, when you have opportunities to get wide receivers like Julio Jones, who's apparently on the market now, when you have opportunity to get top wide receivers and you don't even go after them, when you have the ability to go out and get top tight ends or top catching tight ends, or you give away tight ends that your quarterback and Aaron Rodgers loved, that's going to look a type of way. When you trade up in the draft, a draft, by the way, last year that was wide receiver heavy. Even if you didn't get a wide receiver the first round, there were talent upon talented wide receivers. Hell, Justin Jeffries was a rookie last year. Henry Ruggs was a rookie. There were so many wide receivers. Hell, not even just last year, you could have got DK Metcalf. There were multiple wide receivers you could have gotten to help Aaron Rodgers, and you didn't. You could have addressed the offensive line, but you didn't. You trade up to get Jordan Love, a quarterback that reports came out quickly after training camp started saying he was not even good enough to be a third stringer. And this is coming off of a 13-3 year when people feel all you really needed was maybe another wide receiver, maybe another edge rush, like maybe you needed just a fine tweak, and you get a quarterback, someone that could not help you at all in the immediate. And then we go back to this draft, or then we get to this draft, where, let me actually say, yes, you trade up to get Jordan Love. They did not draft a wide receiver at all last draft. And then your first overall pick in this year's draft, you start Elijah Wood. You start Terrence Williams out of I think it's Ole Miss. Hell, you could have went small and went Rondé Moore. You go Eric Stokes, a cornerback out of Georgia. There's only so much that you can show somebody. I understand that this isn't the NBA and like one player can't dictate what you do. But there's only so much that you can take. And I understand that you have Aaron Rodgers, and I kind of understand what Green Bay is thinking. Green Bay is thinking you're the great Aaron Rodgers. You don't need much to get it done. But if I'm Aaron Rodgers, why would I want to try to do this on my own? In fact, I've tried to do it on my own, and it hasn't worked. And you've seen that it hasn't worked, so why are we continuing to do this? It doesn't make sense, man. It doesn't make sense because it just doesn't make sense. If I was Aaron Rodgers, I'd be pissed, bro. In fact, he is pissed because he said he doesn't want to come back. Now, I know a lot of people saying, he's gotten to NFC championships, and there was some games and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Aaron Rodgers is perfect. But what I'm saying is you need to help him the best way that you can help him, or it's not what's going to how like what do you exactly expect someone to do if you continuously you see that you need help in certain areas and you don't even it's not the fact that like he's just asking for it's not like I really need a running back. Even though you have Aaron Jones, like he's asking for help in positions that you clearly see you need help, and you're not addressing those positions. So I'm not surprised that I'm not surprised Aaron Rodgers asked for it or said he doesn't want to be back. He's taking it for as long as he's taking it, and he's seeing that there's not. I mean, yeah, he won MVP last year, but there's not many. His prime years are fading. So and I think for a player as talented as Aaron Rodgers, I don't think he wants to go out with just one championship. You know what I mean? So Aaron Rodgers asking for a trade out, I completely understand it. I trust me, I do. Like I would have been like, what the hell? Ain't no way, bro. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. So I don't I don't know, man. It sucks, man. It sucks. But and I understand this. Green Bay did this to themselves. Green Bay did this to themselves, being stubborn and not trying to adjust. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And lastly, before we go, Tim Tebow, Tim Tebow, I think reports have come out that he's going to try out for like the 49ers, I think, maybe or Jacksonville, some team where he might be a tight end. Hey man, do what you do. Much love for you. I don't know if it. I don't. Someone that's played quarterback their whole life is now going to go to tight end. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a little different if it's wide receiver. Like I know Julian Edelman played quarterback and then he changed a wide receiver. So did I think Jacoby Myers. But I don't know about tight end. I don't. Hey, I'm off here for doing what you love to do. So do what you do, bro. But that has been today's episode of the Unpopular Podcast. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. If you please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers by my birthday, which is in July. So it would definitely mean a lot if you subscribe. Hey man, just subscribe. And for people that's already subscribed, I appreciate you guys. For the bottom of my heart, I love the fact that you guys support me. Again, this episode is sponsored by Brax Candles. These are, one is black owned, and the lady that does this, she puts her heart and soul in these candles. These candles smell so good. I've been to Bed Bath and Body Works. I've gotten candles for gifts, which I don't understand why I got candles for gifts, but I did. These are the best candles I've ever smelled. You can be chilling, creating content and have have the candles lighting in the background, and it just puts you at ease. These are the best candles in the world. Brax, again, the link will be in the description below. Go get your Brax candles. These are the best smelling candles, and they last forever too. Like these candles last long. So, and they last. So go get your Brax candles. If you want an Unpopular podcast T-shirt, hoodie, sweatshirt, it's about to start getting a little hot. So if you want a T-shirt, the link is in the description below. Go get you a Unpopular shirt, Unpopular podcast shirt, and whatever brand, whatever color you want, just click on the shirt, get the color, do your thing. But I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and until next time, much love.